Hi guys, welcome to this really interesting video. I think this is going to be interesting because this is probably one of the biggest flops in the musical theatre history. I thought it would be cool to give you guys an insight into a massive flop of a musical. And I like this. I haven't seen it, but I like the songs from it. And the musical we are talking about today is Carrie, the musical. For you horror fans, yes, it is based off the Stephen King novel of the same name. But yes, let's dive in because there is a lot to talk about here. So, some people may not know that Carrie actually started in England. The musical, it started in Stratford-upon-Avon in 1988, which I thought was quite interesting because to me it doesn't scream something that the British would make. I thought it's an American author, American story, so I thought it was quite interesting that it started in Stratford-upon-Avon. Like, how crazy is that? So, one thing, this show, okay. So, I'm going to talk about the 1988 version and the 2012 version. So, the 1988 version was hugely different to the 2012 version. Completely different songs, different look, because in 1988, completely different time to what it was in 2012. So, okay, let's dive into these problems of Carrie in Stratford. So, one of the reasons why it flopped so badly is because they had tech problems all the time. There were so many tech problems that were happening during performances. They were only on for a 4-week run, which is not long at all. That's like 4 weeks to do that show. But they were constantly running into tech problems, changing things in the script, changing songs. There was a lot going on behind the scenes, and no show would be the same. They would be changing so much stuff, and you'd be like, why? So those who've seen Carrie know this iconic scene at the start where Carrie gets her period and the girls in the changing room throw tampons at her. In the film, that scene is 5 minutes long. In this show, they had a whole song about it, just to emphasize, bullying, haha, we're throwing tampons at this girl. And some people were like, oh, no, we don't like that. So when critics watched it in Stratford, they did not like it at all. They said it's not believable, there's hardly any elements of the supernatural right up until the end, really. All Carrie does is, turn off a few light bulbs and move some things. It was constantly running into problems. Critics really didn't seem to like this show at all. So, after 16 previews and 5 actual performances, Carrie the Musical in Stratford-upon-Avon in 1988 closed. My goodness, is that a short time? They were supposed to be on for a 4-week run. Wow. That's hardly anything. Hardly anything. And they ended early. So, it transferred to Broadway the same year. Got the same response. No one liked it. It's one of those weird shows. It has to be done really well and really because the film was quite, oh my, okay, but to turn it into a musical, they kind of toned it down a bit, I think, and they needed to amp it up with the supernatural, I think. So it closed on Broadway in 1988 as well. Now we're going to move on to the 2012 revival. Now this is the cast album that you can listen to on streaming services. That's the only cast recording of Carrie the Musical that I know of. And I'm pretty sure there's no other one. There's not one of the 1988 version. No recording was ever made. So the 2012 version was received a lot better. They modernized it. They incorporated a new look on the show, hyped up, not really hyped up, but amped up the bullying to really make it relevant for the time. I think there was some sort of bullying case thing happening on in New York at the time. So it made it relevant to the audience that was watching it. This 2012 version looked and sounded a lot different. They got rid of a lot of the old songs. They put new ones in, and a lot of the people like the songs. I like the songs personally. I've listened to them. They're pretty decent. What else have I written? Yeah, mostly new songs. I think the way that they modernized it, changed the whole look, and made it look better. I think that helped them. It did close after a while. I can't remember the exact dates of how long they were on for, but critics said it was better. They said it still wasn't great, but it was better than the 1988 version. Interesting fact, high schools often do, in America, they do this musical. Apparently it's a very easy one for high schools to do. This show, the way that they did Carrie killing everyone at the prom, looked a lot different than the Stratford version. I watched both videos. So in the Stratford version, they have things falling down on stage and people getting crushed by these things, and actual blood falling on, well, not actual blood, but fake blood, fall on Carrie. But in the 2012 version, the way they did it was through lighting and choreography. Now, personally, I don't think it worked. What they did was they had a projection of the bucket drop on her that she didn't actually get blood on her, which I can understand because A, it's a mess to clean up, and 2, you might not get the right look that you want. So they did this lighting effect, and then they changed the whole stage lighting to red to signify the blood. And the way that people died, it was kind of lyrical dance, sort of, and kind of rolling around on the floor with bits of strobe lighting. It didn't work for me. It just looked a bit awkward and not believable that this horrendous thing was happening. If you've read the book, it goes into a lot of detail, and she kills a lot more people in the book as well at the end of the prom. But it just doesn't work in the 2012 version for me. I think the way that the Stratford version did it, they had the set falling down, they had pyrotechnics, it worked. I can see why I had technical problems, but it looks really good. But they both, the 1988 version and the 2012 version have their faults, and not everyone's going to like it. But that was Carrie. If you watched Riverdale, you'll know that they did a musical episode and butchered the songs, like auto-tune much. But I would highly recommend listening to the cast album. There's another bit. I just remember the production off my top of my head. They did in America. I think it was in Los Angeles. I'm not entirely sure. They did an immersive production of it. So it was in a theatre, but you were actually in what looked like a gym hall, and you were on bleachers and everything. You were either on bleachers on the stage or up above on the sides like that, so you could see into it. And this version looked so cool. I would have loved to have seen it. What they did is the people on the bleachers, the actors, would move the bleachers around so you got different views of what you wanted to see and everything. And the way that they did the prom, they had people fly, like, what looked like they were flying. I don't even know how they did it. They had, I think it was wires or something. I honestly have no idea. It looks really cool. That people were being pulled up near where these people are and then pulled into the darkness, and it just looked so much better. They had blood drop on Carrie. It looked 10 times better than what the Broadway version in 2012 and the 1988 version looked like, because you felt like you were in a school gym. You felt like you were there. It was so intimate, and really, like, that's where the immersive side comes in, is that you're right there with the actors, and that they're moving you around and everything. It just looked so good. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I have, because I think this is a massive flop, and I like to talk about flops because it's just interesting to see why they flopped. If you guys like this video, give it a like, and if you want to see some more flops, let me know in the comments, because I'd be more than happy to, you know, review some flops and talk to you about that. I think maybe this musical's not that well known, so I thought I'd bring it onto this channel. But until then, I've been Kieran Hart, you've been you, I'm wearing my Hamilton top and Hamilton in the background. Go listen to Carrie and have an amazing day.